Please stop with the Carl and Kenny comparisons. It is unfounded. It makes zero sense. And some of y'all are absolutely paranoid. Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. So, today we are talking Love Island USA Season 8 postseason. And unfortunately, I think some of y'all have PTSD from previous couples that did not work out on the show, that you are projecting them onto Trinity and Anaya, and I'm not here for it. I am not here for it at all. In this particular video, though, we got to talk about this creator who apparently, allegedly, is a Nicolandria stan that is comparing Carl to Kenny. Now, here's the thing. I think there's multiple things that are taking place right now that is completely unfounded and completely unfair and completely unreasonable, right? Carl is the least, you know what I'm saying? We've seen him the least on this season in terms of how him coming into Casa, him coming back, him and Anaya haven't been in a couple that long and all this and all that, and then boom, the show ends, right? Ultimately, everybody went home, right? Bryce and Trinity are the winners. So they had the Today Show interview. They had a People magazine exclusive photo shoot and interview. So it makes sense that they're going to be together for quite some time, in the sense that they're going to have primary on a lot of this press run. We just got confirmation that Karnaya is going to be with Trinity on Watch What Happens Live, and I believe the episode's on Wednesday, which means 99.9% there's probably a chance they're also going to be on Jimmy Fallon as well, because again, that is under the NBC Universal umbrella, right? But we got to get into, I feel like there's a couple of things that are happening. I feel like there's still some KC fans, there's still some KC defenders who are doing daily discourse about Anaya. And they have moved on to Carl. And oh, I hope Carl doesn't hurt Anaya. I hope Carl doesn't play Anaya. And Carl, you know, he is showing so many signs of Kenny. And I'm just of confusion. All of the Islanders came out of the villa, you know what I'm saying? Very much excited with their newfound fame, having millions of followers. A lot of them, they're not influencers. You know what I'm saying? Like last season, they're not influencers. So a lot of them were excited. They were reposting content, reposting edits, reposting fan reactions. And it was cool for all the core four and their men to do it, except for Carl. Carl was not allowed. Everything was dissected. Oh, you're throwing shade at this person and that person and da-da-da-da-da. Honestly, I think Carl saw Karnaya and got excited, right? I don't know if he's fully saw a lot of these edits. And if he has, so be it, right? So be it. Why do you want the validation of Anaya and Carl so bad if you don't like them? Make it make sense. So Carl has, you know, not really been posting that much Karnaya stuff these days after the first couple of days or so outside of the villa. So we transition. We see Anaya doing a lot of reposts on the Tickety Talk of Core 4 Karnaya and Carl Thirst Trap, right? Okay, cool. Even though it's slowed down significantly, you know what I'm saying? Because Anaya's been booked and busy. She signed with Gersh, all the things, right? So now people are analyzing Carl's comments on Anaya's page. And, oh, he's doing too much, or why did he say that, and da-da-da-da-da. And my thing is this. This is not last season, no shade but shade, where everybody was at that Airbnb doing Tickety Talk lives, quickly, you know what I'm saying, turning everything to subscription-based, walking around LA on live stream, hoping to be recognized by people, you know what I'm saying? Inviting fans back to the Airbnb for potential hookups and all of this and all of that. Everybody's gone home. Everybody has gone home to be with their families, to decompress, and all of the things. And y'all can't handle it, so y'all have made up all this stuff in y'all minds, right? I don't see Carl or any of the cast, and then out of the core four, right? There hasn't been some cast members who got dumped, you know what I'm saying, earlier in the season, who do have cameos, right? I haven't seen that yet from the core four, and they still may or may not in the future, who knows, right? I haven't seen any of these Islanders charge y'all for subscription content, meaning that you pay on the Twitter/X, you pay on the Instagrammies to see more content, but you got to pay first. Or pay for subscription content on the Tickety Talk Live, or do subscriber-only Tickety Talk Live that I believe starts at $9.99 a month. I haven't seen any of these Islanders do that. None of these Islanders have gone live. The most that they are doing is commenting on each other's posts and reposting stuff from the Tickety Talk. But I'm going to need y'all to chill. So I want to get into this video because I feel like we have reached a level that has gone beyond the show, has gone beyond parasocial, and now the narrative seems to be that if you are in an interracial anything, everybody's a problem. They really don't like black women. They're all using black women for clout and for fame and all the things. Y'all have not said anything about Kenzie and Dylan being scammers or any of the sort. Y'all have not said anything about potentially Casey and Tay scamming and quickly having a YouTube channel right outside the villa, right? Which is usually a red flag to most other Islanders, right? But anyways, we're going to get into this video and then I'm going to kind of break it up and give some commentary.
I want to make something very clear on here because I am a stand of Nicolandria that does not stand for Brenity and Carnaya. That does not.
Right off the rip, to me, this is a problem because ultimately there are several Nicolandria fans who are fans of Brenity, who are fans of Carnaya, who are fans of different Islanders. There's Huda fans that are KC defenders, but y'all are not one band, one sound, right? So I don't even know why we're making this distinction because it's really irrelevant in the case of this video, considering that you basically, it sounds like to me that you're not really, effing with either one of these couples. But let's continue.
We believe that Trinity is there to make that money, and she was low-key finna go back to her nigga, but because Bryce has to be her boyfriend, we're gonna see how that play, and I don't like how that's being used to fight against Nicolandria.
And herein lies the problem. I don't feel that Nicolandria fans should be fighting with Brenity fans or fighting with Carnaya fans or any of the sort, but you threw in a dig already about how Trinity allegedly was going to go back to her dude, but has to quote-unquote stay with Bryce. No, I actually believe that Trinity has fallen for Bryce. I don't know why that's not computing for the people. I think kind of like what we saw on the show. At first, she wasn't feeling him like that, or, got to know him a little bit, wasn't feeling him. Then she fell for him, right? Then she fell for him, but I think she really liked him. All that dude exposed, Mr. Cracked and Scrambled, he was trying to sabotage. He was trying to sabotage. Trinity already confirmed in an interview, it's been a couple of years since she had a boyfriend. This sounds like this was a cracked and scrambled situation before she was going to be gone in sequester at a hotel, you know what I'm saying, for like a month or two, and then be on a show for 6 weeks. So effectively gone for the next couple of months. Let's continue.
And I don't trust Carl. I trust Carl as much as I trust Kenny, because I'm seeing the same shit happen.
Listen, I have no problem in terms of saying, and I've said it in previous videos, give these Love Island men at least a year. Give them at least a year to see how they move, to make sure stuff is squeaky clean, there's nothing sus, there's nothing out of the ordinary. However, comparing Carl to Kenny is insane. Comparing Carl to Kenny is absolutely insane work. Hopefully she gives valid explanations as to why she is assuming or has red flags going off about Carl. But I'm here to tell you, Carl is absolutely nothing like Kenny, and why people are even trying to project that onto Anaya is flat out deplorable, is flat out disgusting. Let's continue.
Anaya, I don't have beef with for real. The season is over. I took Casey's side in the divorce.
So to me, this is a red flag. What do you mean you took Casey's side in the divorce? So that tells me that you are okay with disrespect to a black woman, not checking on her when she's having a clear mental breakdown, and continuing to talk crazy about her in interviews, whether you say her name or not, as long as he rebounds with another black woman. That's what it sounds like to me. Because if it was the other way around, if Casey was saying these things about Kenzie, you know what I'm saying, or any other Caucasian woman or whatever the case may be, Casey would have been packed up a long time ago. Like, let's just keep it a buck. But some of y'all, you know what I'm saying? Child, let me continue.
Nobody says she's ugly. I was not coming on here talking about her hair. I wasn't doing any of that. However, I do not trust Carl. Carl is only with Anaya because we wanted him to be. We voted him back on the show. Even me voted him back on the show because we wanted him with Anaya. And I didn't really understand how that would sit until now, because I am low-key startled for how this is going to go.
Yes, we all voted Carl to come back to the show. However, Amora has revealed in multiple interviews, that her and Carl were also exploring. So, yes, primarily Carl was back for Anaya, but it wasn't a situation where he only talked to Anaya. Apparently, allegedly, according to Amora, he was exploring her as well. And we know that Sydney had that interest in Carl because she had her mouth open, her lips open for him to kiss her on Aftersun, which I'm still feeling away about Sierra and Teffy encouraging that nonsense, knowing there was a high chance Carl was going to be going back into that villa. But my point is, it wasn't a situation where it was by force that Carl had to be with Anaya. Even when Carl got dumped on Aftersun, before he even knew he was going to come back to the show, he still had amazing things to say about Anaya, that things were not as her fault and that things were over with her and Casey. And I'm inclined to believe if there was some type of situation where Anaya, you know what I'm saying, got dumped from the show, or ended up, if they did bring in a different bombshell and she still made it to the finals or whatever the case may be, but it didn't work out, that her and Carl would be in each other's DMs. So this notion that you're startled and horrified as if anybody is holding Carl hostage to be with Anaya is insane to me, because it's clear to me that Carl had been plotting. He fell for Anaya in that Fiji hotel room and was completely laser focused on Anaya during Casa Amor. Let's continue.
I want Naya to have the best. I want Naya to have brand deals. I want Naya to travel. I want Naya to do whatever she needs to do to be the best version of herself, okay? But we know about as much about Carl as we did about Kenny. We know nothing else. The only main thing about Kenny was his obsession about Janae. You see how Cordell, Ace, Jeremiah, Corbin, Casey, Sincere, Dylan, Gabe, Gall, Caleb, and all the other boys that we can really imagine have a personality about themselves. The only thing we hear is well-mannered in Anaya. I'm startled. We don't know about him. And then as soon as he got out the villa, he automatically fed into the narratives that Carnaya fans were spreading to boost their own ego.
First of all, Anaya doesn't have to be with Carl to still get brand deals, still go on trips, still have a thriving career. It is not required. She's already signed to Gersh. So Anaya's going to be okay. We saw with Amaya that quickly things fizzled out with Brian, but even with Brian was outside in the club, you know what I'm saying? Being flirty with all these women and being disrespectful to what him and Anaya had going on. You know what I'm saying? And they had been intimate and all the things. Carl's not even doing any of that. There is no receipts of anybody spotting Carl out in Denver being disrespectful towards Anaya. All the fans that have met Carl in Denver says that he's a nice man. He apparently allegedly told a fan that him and Anaya are keeping things low key, and so on and so forth. This is not a Kenny situation. This is not a Kenny situation at all. Kenny lied. He flat out lied and played in everybody's faces for over a year. And Janae found out the extent of it with the text messages. This is not the same thing. Carl's own sister has come out and said that this is not the first time that Carl has dated a black woman. You know what I'm saying? Even Carl's exes have come out and said that he's a nice guy, sweetheart, things didn't work because of distance or whatever the case may be. There has not been any RICO on Carl. And then this notion that he is quote unquote feeding into Karnaya's false narratives. Please elaborate on that. I think Carl was basically excited to see the fan support. And he was actually individually going to the creators' pages and leaving comments. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this video. Now, some of the creators had messy captions, but when you actually listen to the video and watch the video, it didn't necessarily match the messy caption. So for instance, there could have been a video that was like, Carl is a better man than KC, right? But then you watch the video and the video is all about how amazing Carl is. It's not even about KC. But again, as a creator, sometimes some people do, some clickbait things or have a messy caption that is going to get you the views to go to that video to see potentially what is said. But I have not gotten the vibe from Carl that he's messy AF. And here's the thing. Let's say that he is. Let's say that he's pissed about how KC did Anaya. Does he not have a right to feel that way? Now that, Lee saw with his friends that he was watching some of the show back and could see how out of order and out of pocket some of Casey's comments were. Like, he's not allowed to feel a way about that. He's supposed to be breaking bread with Casey and act like nothing's wrong. Let's continue.
He is messy as fuck, and he is only getting into it to further boost him. He is only... What nigga gets into this much beef? What nigga talk this much?
I am of confusion. What talking is Carl doing? What talking is Carl doing? Am I missing something? Like I said, the only thing Carl did was show support to the creators that were fans of Karnaya. And then, of course, he will be in the comments of fellow Islanders, and particularly the Core 4 and, of course, Anaya. So what talking is he doing? There's been no live streams. There's been no interviews. So, again, what are we talking about? Give examples. What about Carl is displaying messiness to you? You know what I'm saying? But this is what happens. People just be saying stuff, and y'all be falling for it. Let's continue.
Because do we see Sincere posting shit about Corey? No, because at the end of the day, Sincere is at least acting like a grown-ass man. It is weird that Carl is posting about KC and everything else to be like, yes, I'm always Team Anaya no matter what. We should be able to tell that from your actions, not your words.
And someone in the comments provide me the receipts that Carl was talking about KC in the couple of weeks that Carl has been outside of the villa. Please provide me the receipts of where that is. And this is what I'm saying. I think y'all are paranoid and freaking out over the wrong thing. You have admitted that you took Casey's side in the divorce. Why should Carl be Team Casey if he was already pissed off movie night, seeing the footage of how badly Casey was talking down about Anaya? You know what I'm saying? And what recently has Carl commented on or did anything? All of his content has been workout content or him being 10 toes down for Anaya, which is what you should want him to do. What I find interesting is you're not bringing up KC, who was the one that was still talking about Anaya and Aftersun, calling her draining, calling her fragile, saying their connection was inorganic, and then getting on a couples podcast with Tay, basically alluding to, no, they didn't say names, but who else are they talking about? Calling the core four bullies and that they isolated him in the villa to the point that he was depressed and he had no friends in that villa but TT. But somehow, most of the cast is following Casey and all was bigging up his couple's photo shoot with TT. So you don't find any of that to be messy and any of that to be causing any type of issues or discourse or any of the sort. You're concerned about videos or commentary that Carl likes on a post or says Team Anaya in a post. Why wouldn't he be Team Anaya? Let's continue. There's a little bit more to go.
We should be able to tell that from your actions regarding Anaya and not your words talking shit about others at the expense of them for Anaya's benefit.
Again, what interview, what quote from a magazine article or media publication has Carl talk any shit about KC? Liking a video and leaving a comment, Team Anaya, is not enough for me to say, oh, this person is messy and da-da-da-da-da-da. Make it make sense. Let's continue.
I don't trust a nigga that just talk too much. You, as a grown-ass woman, take it from me. Do not trust a nigga that talk the most. Do not trust a nigga that makes the most promises. Trust a nigga that pulls through for the most promises. I do not trust Carl. I don't. I'll give it 6 months, and then Anaya's gonna be with whoever she want to be with.
I don't understand where all this passion and all this energy is coming from other than you're a KC defender. You're a Nicolandria fan, but you are a KC defender, which by a lot of people's logic, if you are supporting Nicolandria, which would mean you do not support Taylor and Ace, and by that logic, you being a KC defender, I can argue KC did a whole lot worse and said a whole lot worse than what Taylor did season 7. But this venom that you have for Carl thinking he's going to be the next Kenny is insane. Is absolutely insane. There has not been any proof or any receipts that him or his family are racist or have, conflicting political beliefs that could be problematic or any of the sort. Like where is all of this venom coming from? And then just making a bold prediction. Here's the thing. Anaya and Carl do not have to last. There is zero pressure on them to last as a couple. If they work out, great. If they don't, that's great too. But this notion that y'all want to see Anaya humiliated, or y'all think that Carl's going to play in Anaya's face, or he's going to do her dirty for the simple fact that you do not believe that he's attracted to or interested in a black woman is flat out disgusting to me. It's flat out disgusting, and these technically would be the same talking points as you being a Nicolandria fan would argue when people used to say that about Nick and Alandria. Let's continue. There's a little bit more to go.
I want Anaya to do whatever she needs to do to make as much money as possible, whether that be with Carl or not. I hope I am wrong about Carl. I really do. But with the way I see Carl moving outside this villa solely as like a perpetrator of what the Carnaya stands are doing, as opposed to actually being somebody that is an individual. Like, even you see how Nick with Alandria still hung out with Taylor? Do you see how Nick was still cool with Taylor?
So this really isn't about Carl and Anaya. You want Carl to be besties with Casey. And it's interesting, once again, you are giving a Nicolas and Taylor example, considering the other day, Nicolas has unfollowed Taylor because after the breakup was announced via People magazine between Nico and Alandria, Taylor posted in his Instagram stories a screenshot of Ace from the Speedy interview. And Nicolas unfollowed Ace because, remember, he basically was implying that Nicolandria was fake, was PR. And Ace also said in the interview that Nicolas told him that he found Alandria attractive, but that there was no romantic spark between them. So I am of confusion as to why we are giving Nicolas and Taylor any type of props when it seems like that ship has sailed. Let's continue. There's one little piece left, and then we will wrap up.
Even though everything that was done, and only a year later, whenever Taylor decided to jump on the hate train, whenever they broke up, decided to stop associating himself with Taylor. Did you not notice that? That you see how Nick still had some personality about himself? Truly, this is not about hating Carnaya. I do not trust no nigga who talk too much, ever.
But here's the thing. Here's where I'm going to get on Nicolas that you are missing, right? That he gave Taylor a year. Immediately after Ace's interview, his speedy interview last year, guess who went on the Tickety Talk Live to do a live stream watching Ace's interview with us and co-signing everything Ace said in that interview, specifically the shade about production and production dictating certain conversations. Taylor sat there and co-signed everything and basically made it seem like he was forced to continue in a couple with Alandria against his will. Nicolas, for real, should have cut off Taylor that day. Should have unfollowed him that day when Taylor was saying all that stuff in the Tickety Talk Live. Instead, he flew to Oklahoma to do cowboy stuff with him. And still to this day, Nicolas has not unfollowed Ace. You know, the person who actually did the interview. The person that caused all this chaos. Still has not unfollowed Ace. Oh, let me guess. It's going to be because, right, Ace apologized a whole month ago. So that's just going to erase the whole last year, right? No. Not if y'all posting messy memes. And also, Taylor didn't just post that. He posted him and Ace at a restaurant where Ace basically was given this side eye or had this look on his face like they were being messy together. But I feel like this is more so rooted in you wanting Carl and Casey to be besties and you wanting to see Anaya to be hurt and humiliated and played in the same fashion that happened to Janae via Kenny, and that's where we're losing the plot. We are losing the plot up until this point. You know what I'm saying? Carl has not said or did anything to me that felt as though we need to be put on high alert or any of the sort. Nobody is pressuring him and Anaya to go the distance. If they work out, great. If they don't work out, that is great as well. But I've not seen anything that is messy to where it warrants all of this to have a reaction about. Liking a video or leaving a comment on a video that may have a messy caption, but actually watching the video is not matching the caption is not somebody being messy. You know what I'm saying? It's somebody having the emotional intelligence to say, hey, I'm not just going to fall for what the caption says. Let me listen to the video in its entirety and give a reaction, and I'm sorry. Why can't Carl feel a way about how Casey treated Anaya? Like, why is that a problem? The whole objective would mean, like Carl said on the season finale of Love Island USA Season 8 to the fellas after his date, all the things that y'all were saying about Anaya when she was with Casey, I didn't experience any of that. Anaya was secure, she was strong, she's been happy, you know what I'm saying? It hasn't been all this stuff that y'all were saying about Anaya when she's with KC. It has been on and up and stuck ever since we've been together. So I feel like you low-key got spoiled last year with all the Nicolandria content at that Airbnb. You know what I'm saying? And because you're not seeing that this season with this cast, because this cast is not moving that way, You guys are making up all these theories in your mind of how horrible Carl is to uplift Casey, because there's no way a man like Carl can actually be a decent human being. There's no way a man like Carl can actually be a nice guy. You guys refuse to accept it, right? Now, I disagree with people putting any of these men on a pedestal. Y'all know how I stand on that. But ultimately, this type of reaction for Carl, to me, is insane. Is absolutely insane. I haven't seen anything that was messy or out of the sort. I have seen accounts that have tried to put false claims against Carl and put RICO charges on Carl, and it wasn't matching. The evidence didn't match the crime. Some people just refuse to have the discernment to sit through these Carnaya videos of whether it's commentary or whether it is somebody watching certain clips of the show back and giving a reaction to it and all of this and all of that. So one of the videos Carl liked, I believe, showing his face and what his reaction was when they were showing Casey's clips during movie night. What is messy about that? Another one was, I believe, showing Carl and Anaya's happiness together and the difference between Anaya and Casey versus Anaya and Carl. What is messy about that? I think we can all agree that Anaya and Casey were not compatible, and therefore are better off in the other couples that they are in. So I am of confusion why y'all are trying to hit Carl with this RICO that is making no sense. And now y'all are about to do the most, because it is rumored they're going to be on Watch What Happens Live next week. And y'all are about to dissect once again whether or not they choose to show any couples content, and whatever interviews they do, you guys are going to dissect it and try to find a problem there. Y'all are not going to believe, no matter what Carl says or does, that he is really into Anaya for the simple fact that he was brought back onto the show. Like, let's just keep it a buck. You think that this is all a scheme and that this is all phony baloney, and you do not want to accept that there might be real feelings there that Carl has for Anaya. And that is crazy to me. But yet y'all stand other couples that easily play in y'all faces and take y'all money and all this and all that, and never see each other, never spend any time with each other, or are spending time with each other like Dylan and Kenzie are doing. Like Kenzie doing splits at some place in Soho where people are pouring drinks and food down her throat while she stays in the split position for money. I guess all of that's Gucci. I guess that means that's a real couple, because they quickly became boyfriend and girlfriend. I guess you have no problems there, because it is not an interracial couple. It is not a black love couple. So they're not going to get the scamming allegations. Make it make sense. So nonetheless, that is it for this video. Do me the biggest favor, and that is to hype the video. Hype the video, please. There's that. That is it. That is all. It's todos es final. It's Benito. Is he on the road? Is he on the line for this video? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post the content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.